I'll show you guys where we're at in a minute. I'm at Surf City, North Carolina, and I'm at a city park. It's raining, it's beautiful. But I've been trying to shoot this video for like 30 minutes, so I'm just going to do it because boats are coming in and out. Like I said, we'll walk around in a minute and I'll show you where we're at. But so first of all, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Chasing the Sun, where we do everything RV and van life. And one of the things that I wanted to do when I started the channel was to be a little more educational than most of the shows that just come on and show a cute dog, which I have a cute dog, and I'm sure you know my dog, Wolfie. But one of the things that I wanted to do that some of the other channels just don't do, because I'm not a supermodel of anything, was to be a better educator. So the most asked question is, how do I make money on the road, which I've already addressed, and I'll be doing some videos on that coming up. But as far as the actual nuts and bolts of what I do, it's where do you stay? Is it safe? How do you do that? Well, it's called boondocking, and I camp some too. When I started the channel a few months ago, I never really camped, but then I had to camp, and then I sort of fell in love with that. And so now I do kind of a mix of camping and boondocking. So obviously camping, you go to a campsite, you pay, you hook up, you know. Oh, and I'm going to approach this from two angles, because there's two vehicles that are the most popular things, and it's different when you boondock and camp. So I'm going to do the van angle, and I'm going to do the RV angle. I have a tiny RV. I have been thinking for a really long time it may be time to get a van, because it is, if you get nothing else from this video and you're interested in boondocking, the number one takeaway you should get is that being in a van is so much more easier to hide and to be stealthy. You can literally almost park anywhere and no one will be the wiser of it if you're smart. And also, this goes without saying, but when you're boondocking, you want to be quiet. You know, you don't want to be drinking at all, nothing. You want to try not to smoke cigarettes, because that brings attention to you. What you're doing, as long as it's not illegal, it's not really something that you can't be doing, but you don't want a lot of people seeing you and drawing attention to you. So you don't want loud music, you don't want your generator going, for the most part, and there are some exceptions. And depending on how long this video gets, I may break it into 3 or 4 educational videos with some B-roll. B-roll's just the ocean and pretty flowers and stuff like that. So, what is boondocking? Okay, so boondocking is, and it depends on where you are, it's a little bit different. Boondocking is where you get into a vehicle and you do not pay for parking. And pretty much even people who are not in our lifestyle, the first thing they always say is, oh man, Walmart's such a great Well, you know, we're going to talk about that. Walmart is almost non-existent as far as being able to park there overnight. But that's what typical boondocking was. And then, of course, the old joke is in a van down by the river, which I've done many times, and that joke just never gets old. But when you take your whatever you're driving down to, you know, under a river or under a bridge or some rural setting, you know, boondockings where you go to pay, you generally don't have any water, you don't have any electric, but it's free, and you can park there, and that's how we can live this lifestyle for $500 to $600 a month. So the kind of the key, and I've mentioned this in a couple of videos, is to be in a spot where you are around enough things and people, unless you're way out in the country. If you're on the East Coast and you're going to be boondocking, then you want to be on that BLM land. You don't want people around you. You just want to be by yourself. Sorry, there's kids playing out there. You want to be by yourself, and that's perfect. So but on the East Coast, it's something completely different. On the East Coast, Wolfie's getting ready to bark. On the East Coast, there's very, very few Bureau of Land Management, BLM spots where the government just says, yeah, y'all go have fun. Very few spots. Although I do use an app, and it's very important, and if you're interested in this, it's called Campendium, freecampsites.net. There are several out there, but Campendium is my go-to. They're not paying me, but I do use it, and I use it all the time. I used it a couple of days ago to get some free boondocking when I left West Virginia. Anyway, so yeah, so East Coast versus West Coast. West Coast, you have literally hundreds of thousands of acres that the government has set aside. The ranchers have deeded that back to the government. They don't have to pay taxes, and then they sign a lease. Usually it's free, and they can come on it and run their cattle, and so it works for everyone. And there are literally, and I haven't done it much, but I did do it for a few weeks, and it is amazing. Some of my counterparts, Adventure Van Man, Bob Wells, they're out west. They have a prettier mountains and stuff, although we have better oceans. And I was just in West Virginia, and that's pretty special. But so in the East Coast, it's more, you're in the cities more, right? And you're more rural out in the West Coast, and in the center, it's kind of a mix. And I've done a lot of that too, but I'm going to focus on kind of East and West because that's where most of the people. And I will do a Midwest one soon, so look for that. So that's basically it. Boondocking is where you stay at a place for free, and you can stay there. Kind of the general rules are like, you only want to stay in one place one time. That's just a rule. There's a Walmart here in Surf City I'm going to stay at. I'm going to stay there tonight. I'm going to film that in another episode. It's one of the rare exceptions because I'm contradicting one of the yeses and nos in just a minute. But kind of the general rule, wherever you are, you want to slide in late and get out of there early, even if you have permission. And I do suggest that you always get permission, because most of the time, the worst thing that's going to happen to you is that you'll feel unsafe or you'll be asked to leave. I've never really heard of anybody getting arrested for boondocking unless it explicitly says, you'll be towed, and you don't want to do that. Follow the signs, guys. Follow the laws. So, yeah, be quiet. Like I said, try not to make a big deal out of yourself. If you're going to smoke cigarettes, kind of do it on the down low. Get inside your rig, open up your vent or your window, and just do it casually. Don't litter. Be quiet. Don't run your generator. The exception to that is at Walmart, if it's a commonly done thing where they do allow you to park, sometimes, and that's up to your discretion, you want to park as far away from everybody as you can, and then sometimes that's okay to run your generator. I don't choose to do that. I don't do drugs or have alcohol in my rig ever, so I don't have anything to be afraid of. But let me tell you, the less attention you can draw to yourself, the better. And you know what I'm talking about. We get a bad rep almost everywhere. That's those unclean van life people. Well, that's not what we are. That's not what I am. That's not the lifestyle that I'm trying to promote. But anyway, the other thing you never ever want to do, I don't care how you feel, and I'm not preaching, I'm not religious, you never ever, never ever, never ever, never ever want to do drugs or drink alcohol. Now, I don't particularly have a problem with alcohol or recreational drugs. If that's your jam, hammer down, man. I myself, I don't indulge, but that's my prerogative, and that's yours as well. But once you get into your van and you're boondocking, you absolutely do not want to do that, because if you do get the knock at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're drunk, you're going to probably, maybe, possibly, definitely get a DUI. Even though this is your domicile, depending on local state laws, it doesn't really matter. They're just going to assume that you were drinking and driving, and then you'll get a ticket. You may lose your license. You may get a big fine. Some places you go to jail now. So, yeah. So that's kind of the setup. That's what boondocking is. Again, it's different in different parts of the country: north, south, east, and west. I'm most familiar with the East Coast, which really sucks for us as East Coasters or people that come to the East Coast, because there's literally 10,000 more places to boondock on the West Coast than there is the East Coast, and that's okay. There's still plenty of parking for everyone. I do it all the time. When I'm not camping, I do it every day. I live in my vehicle. I travel around the country. I do this full time. No, probably never going to buy another house again. I think that part of my life is done until I get very old. So I do have some knowledge, and I've been doing this for a couple of years now. So, okay, so that's the first 10 minutes. I think I'm going to call this the episode number 1, because I don't want to have an hour-long video and have you guys, not be able to digest it. So we explained what boondocking was. We talked about East Coast versus West Coast. It's way easier in a van or a car than it is an RV, and I'll get into a little bit of that more than in the next video that we do, and kind of the do's and the don't. Do be quiet, do slide in late, do leave early, don't make a big huge smelly pot of chili at 5 o'clock in the afternoon when you're pulling up. If you get to a truck stop or wherever you are, it's just not okay. I know people who do it, and you all hit me, you can email me and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you what I do works for me. I've never gotten a knock. I've never been asked to leave. I've never felt unsafe in those situations like that. Okay, so we're going to call this is going to be called Boondocking, and this is episode 1. So there you go. If I have not covered something that you would like for me to, please hit me with an email. I always put my email below. You can find me on Facebook. Sorry guys. Facebook, Instagram, all the normal social media stuff. And my name is Eric, E-R-I-C, and Hobaugh, H-O-B-A-U-G-H. You can find Chasing the Sun RV Life in all those places as well. And there you go. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, please consider subscribing. The channel's growing very well, nice and slow and steady, getting up above 175, 180. We need to get to 1,000 to monetize, and that would really help me and Wolfie make some money, and that's what I need to do. So, all right, guys, part 2 coming up. Thanks for watching. Remember, you have to get up every day of your life and do one thing that gets you closer to your dreams. All right, guys, see you on the next one. All right, so that's where I shoot my videos. We're in Surf City. I don't know if I can zoom in on that. Yeah, Surf City, North Carolina. And I'm in a little city park here. We're parked. We had some lunch here, and I'm shooting the videos here. And I'll take y'all out in a second and show you the boats and stuff and why we couldn't be quiet. Right, Wolfer? Hi, baby. Hi, Wolfer. Yep, Surf City in the little city park. Normally this is just full of cars. It's raining, it's cooled off, thank goodness. It's been so hot. Normally this parking lot would be full on a Sunday. Yeah, and I'll show you guys some other parts in just a second. Snakes of Eastern North Carolina. Well, it's not a complete list. My boss from the painting company's not on there. Very cool though. Do no harm. Don't kill these snakes. Yikes. Way more non-venomous, thank goodness, than venomous.